that was my recitation bench. And the children in those days, in the first schools I taught, sat in a desk. It was about this long, and two children shared that one's desk. One of them had to stay on his side of the desk, and the other one sat on his side. Well, sometimes they were not real close together. I think the most that I ever had in any of my experience of teaching was 21 or 22. Now, I'm sure you've heard that a long time ago, and I've heard people say that's younger than me, but I never saw it in all of the rural schools in Missouri. I never knew, and I'm old enough, and you're going to find out when you get through here just how old I am and how long ago that's been. But I never saw these 30 and 40 children in a one-room school. I'm sure they must have existed, but it's been a long, long, long time ago. So I'd start out with my first grade, and while I was doing that, all the rest of the grades back there were getting their lessons and all. And every grade was called up to front to recite. Now, one thing I believed in, and I still believe in, is for children at school to read their reading lessons and to read out loud. I think there's a lot of value in that. I can remember not having over one or two little first graders. One lady today who is also a teacher and still teaching that went to school to me was awful little when she started 5 or something like that. She used to come and she sat on my lap. Sometimes we had part of our lesson on my lap. She was the only first grader. And I wasn't only a teacher, I really was a mother to some of those children that were real small when they came to school. I had from the first grade, including the 2nd, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Now when you got to the 5th and 6th grades, you didn't teach the 5th and 6th grade every year. One year I'd teach the 5th grade, and then the next year I'd teach the 6th. Well, sometimes I taught the 6th grade before the 5th. I'd teach the 6th grade one year, and then the next year the child would have to take the 5th grade. All right, some years it came that they taught the 8th grade first, and the next year they had to go back and take the 7th. Well, now there's nothing wrong with that really, because in the 5th and 6th grade you study a lot of most of the same things, and the same way with the 7th and 8th. Now, if I had a real bright student in the 8th grade, why, I often had extra work for him to do. I kept him busy. There was things I'd cut out in the paper. There was things puzzles, crossword puzzles. There was a lot of things that I could find for a real bright student to do to keep him busy so he wouldn't be bored. And if I got in a real pinch, and I had some 4th grader off over here that was trying to learn how to do some fractions, or couldn't get a certain subject and was having trouble, I would send him back to sit with this intelligent 8-year-old, 8th grader, and he would help him or help her. And so everything seemed to run real smooth. We taught every subject every day. I don't know how we got it all in. I think there was one variation. But we had reading. So we, I think, had a good program in math, in arithmetic. Spelling, we taught English, and one thing I taught was geography, and I was tickled to death when I saw Lauren and Brett home the other night with the geography book. Because I tell you, in my state, and I hear it on the television, that a lot of the schools have quit teaching geography. They sort of combine geography and history books together. Well, it's what I think is that you better know your next door state, or you better know all about what's in the United States, than to know some of this ancient history, like what happened many, many years ago to me that isn't as important. My granddaughter, who is 12 years old, lives where I live, happens to be going, and I've been fussing all the time, where's that geography book? Do not have it. Don't teach it. And here she was racking her brain to study ancient history. And I guess I wasn't the only one thinking about that, because now in the state of Missouri, the education department has said that geography should come back into the schools. So maybe that's one reason why some of the schools aren't suiting the education department. One thing Patty found amusing was that when you went into a school as a teacher for the first year, it was a great thing for a child to take the teacher home with them one night, to stay all night with them. And when I was young, I didn't mind that. And sometimes, you know, there was quite a few children in the family. I've had children come to school to me that had 4, and I think I had one family that had 5 children from that family coming to me at the same time. And this one family had 3 big children going to school to me. One was about 13, a girl, and if I must say, she had a little discipline problem. She was kind of a bad girl. Then I had her sister, who was about 14, and the boy, who had been a slow learner, was a great big tall guy, almost as tall as I was, and he was 15.